Today we'll take a trek down a well-traveled portion of Clear Creek. Due to a small craft wind advisory, a couple friends and I elected to put in at Walter Hall Park in League City, just off of Highway 3 so as to avoid the more open expanse from the Egret Bay launch just a short distance east. Walter Hall Park is a nice and secure launch location, given the ample parking and amenities, along with regular patrols from the Harris County Sheriff's Office. The launch is a standard boat ramp flanked by a small pier. Though there's no paddlecraft-specific launch here, it's always been easily managed. Here's a quick overview of today's route before we dive further into the specifics. We'll head straight from the launch, which will put us on a westerly heading that we'll maintain throughout most of today's gently meandering voyage. Immediately to port, just out from the ramp, you may be fortunate enough to see some deer that frequent a feeder in the backyard of a residence that backs up to the creek. Keeping on, you'll notice a few carve-outs nestled into the southern bank. When water levels are high, you'll be able to explore these small coves, but quite often you'll find yourself merely churning mud. Eventually, to the left, you'll pass a small retention pond backing up to a relatively new apartment building. Shortly after, you'll pass two good-sized coves to starboard. Again, when water levels are high, you'll be able to partake in a shallow paddle, but low water levels will make these a no-go for all but those craft with the shallowest draft. You will also note a sandbar at the entrance to one of the aforementioned coves. This can be a good place to take a breather, as evidenced by the chairs and fire pit that adorned the sandbar for several months prior. Often, you'll also see a mass of seagulls perched here. Shortly thereafter, you'll pass beneath the bustling overpasses of Highway 45, where a timber bulkhead will guide craft onto the next, and what I would consider to be among the most pristine stretches of Clear Creek. You will have a few scattered residences and parks, but the majority of the route will be lined with vegetated banks and often a considerable amount of wildlife. It's very common to encounter several varieties of herons, egrets, cormorants, and ibises. Sightings of osprey, sandpipers, and spoonbills are less frequent but still fairly common. You will occasionally see a gator or two along this stretch, but it's extremely rare, especially in contrast to the abundant populations of the Armand Bayou vicinity. I wouldn't take a swim with meat in your pockets, but beyond that, there's little cause for concern. After crossing beneath 45 and passing by the residential community to port, you'll be on the most serene section of today's paddle. You will continue to note several passages to port. The same goes for these coves. Water levels will dictate their accessibility. That is, except for one branching avenue that we'll arrive at soon after. A leftward turn just before a private neighborhood park will find you floating through a short but picturesque backwater, accented with shaded arbors and easily identified by the powerboat moored a short way in. This is a nice spot for a respite from the wind as well. Once back out on Clear Creek, we'll continue west, where we'll soon arrive at another notable landmark, that being Challenger Park. I was grateful to find that the entirety of the park, along with a new paddlecraft slide launch, was now open following a lengthy restoration. This is another ideal spot to stretch your legs, have a picnic, or sway with nature's serenade on one of the several swings that reside in the park. After a short breather here, we'll continue west past Clear Springs High School, where we'll encounter more similar scenery, along with some swaying Spanish moss and a couple more coves to starboard that offer glimpses of Challenger Park's boardwalk cabanas. It was when we reached the section where the waterway bends, encouraged by encroaching winds, that we decided to turn back today. However, another half mile or so would take you to Lynn Gripon Park, which is a pretty standard Clear Creek landmark. Just for reference, if you keep to the course beyond this, you'll eventually follow the winding creek into Friendswood at 1776 Park. I'll definitely do a more comprehensive review on this section, and I do already have a route review on the Clear Creek section farther north, so give that a view if you'd like a more substantial breakdown of Clear Creek proper. Back to today's course, we then began retracing our paddle strokes as the tide began to ebb. A steamy but pleasant paddle led us back to the launch at Walter Hall Park, thus concluding a moderate, nearly 7-mile trek. My final impressions on this route are as follows. It's a picturesque local route that offers quite a bit within a relatively short course. The pros are that it's a pretty straightforward route with several places to stop, which also offer quite a few one-way options for paddlers who have the luxury of ferrying their craft from their destination. It's not my first choice on a windy day. However, it's sheltered enough that most paddlers will have little more to contend with than sore shoulders following a gusty outing. You're never far removed from civilization, which is generally a plus from a safety standpoint. This does likewise hint at the primary con of this route. It's a popular destination for paddlecraft and powerboats alike. It's common to encounter speedboats and jet skis on this route, and quite a few of them have rather liberal ideas regarding wake. As such, it's important to keep your wits about you, as they can appear quite quickly around the tributaries and many bends. The popularity of this waterway with water sports craft is evidenced by several protruding wooden rail obstacles used by wakeboarders. That's about it. Provided that you're diligent and properly equipped for conditions, this is a local route definitely worth frequenting. Give it a shot, and God bless. Subscribe to GCK for more great Gulf Coast outdoors content.